guys, we're back again. It's exciting time. Some people love the finals. Some people love the summer with sports because it's off-season time. And as a guy who just loves playing GM modes only to make trades, the off-season time is where it's at. So the return of our segment Trade Machine is always exciting. We have something with the Toronto Raptors, Golden State Warriors, and Oklahoma City Thunder / New York Knicks worked out. So why don't you walk us through that trade?
Yeah, for sure. So it's a trade that's very interesting because we keep hearing in the news that Golden State wants Pascal. And in my mind, I think that makes sense. But I'll go through the trade first, and I'll kind of go through why it could make sense for all teams involved and why it potentially could not make sense. But the trade that I kind of proposed out there would be Pascal Siakam going to the Golden State Warriors, James Wiseman coming to Toronto, the 7th overall pick coming to Toronto, Kelly Oubre Jr. through a sign-in trade going to OKC or New York. Those are both teams that have salary cap room to take him on. And then you're looking also at a future first-round pick to thank one of those teams for taking on Kelly Oubre in this kind of situation. Not like Oubre is a bad player, but it's just that's kind of what you need to do to be able to improve your team. So with that being said, that in my mind, Siakam goes over to Golden State because they can use that extra scorer. Not just that, but he also plays a position where he might play in the same position as Draymond, but Draymond's a better center than he is a power forward. Let's be honest. They finished the game with him at center, and if you're able to keep that lineup with Clay, Curry, Wiggins, Siakam, and Draymond, I don't see any better lineups in the whole league. I think that's the best lineup in the league, no matter who they put off the bench. In Toronto's sense, they get to have the 7th overall pick and James Wiseman. That's a total rebuild. Now you're talking about options like you could trade the 7th overall pick, future first-round picks, and maybe Kyle Lowry and bring in Ben Simmons. Who knows? It just gives you more options than what Siakam on his own does. And let's be honest, the one thing that the Toronto Raptors need is a fucking center. They need a center to bring it, just an old-school center that can bring down those boards, who can play defense. They thought Aaron Baines was going to be it. He clearly was not. And you look at the games where Siakam wasn't playing last year, OG's a pretty damn good power forward already to be able to take up those minutes, let alone who they can pick up in these drafts.
Plus Chris Boucher, too.
Exactly. So you're looking at that team, and even if you lose Kyle Lowry for nothing, you have a fourth overall pick, whether that's Jalen Suggs or somebody else, going to be pretty good for someone who's going to play. You have a 7th overall pick, probably someone who's going to play as well, on top of Gary Trent Jr., Fred VanVleet, OG, Chris Boucher. That team's pretty deep outside of Siakam. And you add these young players in, Malachi Flynn, and that team is now not only competing for a playoff spot next year, for the next 5 years, even though they're losing arguably their top player.
Yeah, and I would say, like, from the trades I've seen with Siakam going to Golden State, I think that one makes the most sense because Golden State, I don't think they really want to give up Wiggins because they do want as many good players as possible. They know their core. They're combined between them. They're probably going to miss a minimum about 60 games, maybe even more. And that core is slowly coming to an end. So they don't want to be in a situation where they have no one else to rely on but their big three. And technically, like you said, they do have a big five if they consider making this move. Where I don't like it from the Warriors' perspective is, like you said about the Raptors, like I think they do need a center. I know Draymond can play it. He play it well. But I think ultimately you do need a 7-footer to succeed in the long run. A guy like Anthony Davis in a 7-game series, he's going to ultimately get the better hand of Draymond Green. No matter how good of a defender Draymond is, Davis is going to have some monster games. So I do think they need a presence up there. But keeping the 14th pick, which I've also seen in a lot of trades, they say they get rid of both. With the 14th pick, they could easily look at the board, take a mid-round center. And you know what? By the end of the year, I wouldn't be surprised if that guy's starting. I wouldn't be surprised if he's getting decent minutes, at least doing what he has to for that team. So I don't hate it as much as I thought I would from the Warriors' perspective. The sign and trade, I mean, whether it's the Thunder or the Knicks, like the Knicks apparently want Oubre, and the Thunder, I think it puts them in a situation, again, where they need to hit some type of cap floor. They get a decent player out of it, and we've seen with them, they could win some games when they put it all together, but they also get the other draft pick. And then for the Raptors, the main reason I like it is this is a team that has been so damn good at drafting when you look back at it. And when you have a team that could have the 4th and 7th overall picks, when they've been able to draft guys like DeMar DeRozan with the 10th pick, OG with, I believe, like the 14th pick, they've picked Terrence Ross with the 11th pick, I believe it was, Jacob Pertl. They've picked a lot of damn good players with picks close to that. Then you go even deeper, Pascal Siakam, he was what, the 20-something pick? You have Van Vliet. Yeah, you have Van Vliet undrafted. We have Jalen Harris, who I know unfortunately just got released, but he was 59th overall and he was averaging 7.5 games. You have Terrence Davis. They draft very, very well. So for them to have potentially the 4th and 7th, those could be 2 huge impact players for the future of the Toronto Raptors.
And the team's can rebuild from this point on. And you look at Pascal Siakam, he actually fits more age-wise. He's only been in the league for however many years. But people forget that Pascal wasn't just a one-year college player. He played for a little bit. He's actually 28 years old right now.
Oh, so yeah, no, I completely forgot that too.
So he fits in closer to the Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, Draymond Green age group than he does with OG, Gary Trent Jr., Chris Boucher. Well, Chris Boucher is about 27, but nevertheless.
And he did seem kind of aggravated here too last year, so.
And it could be good for him. And this is nothing to say bad against Siakam. We're talking about this because the Warriors want another potential All-Star, and that's what Siakam is, a potential All-Star. But he could be someone that the Raptors could replace with little to no, losing little to nothing on it. Whether they might lose 1 or 2 more games next year than they would have beforehand, it is what it is. But Siakam, for how great of a player Siakam is, he's a guy who's best whenever he's the 2nd, 3rd, or 4th guy on the team. That's what we've seen at the Raptors championship run back in 2019. You had Kyle Lowry, Kawhi Leonard, arguably Ibaka and Gasol were more important than Siakam was. But in the last year, a lot of Raptors fans like myself, we watched Siakam put up that 3-point shot to end the game. Siakam shot less than 30% from 3 last year. Why? Because he was jacking them up because that's all the Raptors had at certain times. On a team like the Warriors, that doesn't happen. He doesn't need to do that. He's going to thrive and probably potentially be a better player than what he was with the Toronto Raptors.
Yeah, he definitely gives them a good offensive touch, even in the post with his ISO spin move in. They don't have anyone who could do that on the Warriors by any means. My thing with the Raptors too is if you're going to make this move, I do think you need to make it this offseason because like we hinted, he's not the guy. And I think another year of people looking at him, criticizing him, and kind of taking down his value, where exactly you're going to keep getting less and less for him. I think right now is the most you're going to get for him, where teams think, okay, this was just a guy who he had a bad going of it towards the end, but this is also the same guy who he was player of the month, I believe, October 2019 or 2020, with 28 points per game. So they know what he could do. But at the same time, we also know the things he can't do, and they need to make that move before other teams fully accept his flaws opposed to his benefits.
And there's still that shadow of him being an all-star player. I mean, he still does show that on games here and there. But as you mentioned, the more and more that he is the star player on a team, the more and more people are going to be like, well, maybe he shouldn't be the star player on that team, which is not what you're going to want in the long term. And the Raptors just don't have that all-star player to step into those roles right now. But if they take that 4th overall pick and the players that they have grow to another level, then they're going to have it within a year or 2.
Yeah, I would completely agree with that. Hey, you know what? You're the 4th and the 7th. You know what? Package it to Detroit. Get that first. You never know. Anything could happen.
You never know. Heck, you could package one or both of them over to Philly and bring in Ben Simmons. We don't know.
Very true.
Which gives you a lot more options, a lot more flexibility, which is sad to say because Siakam has been such a great player and he's grown to such a great player in the Raptors uniform. But now it might be time for the next guy to do that and for him to go and actually make a run at the championship next year with the Warriors.
Yeah, definitely. But let us know what you guys think in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you soon with some more content.